Alex Eala off to rousing start at Philippine Women's Open. Manila, Philippines. Tennis rising star Alex Eala gave Filipino fans what they came to see in the Philippine Women's Open on Monday night. Buoyed by a packed crowd at Rizal Memorial Sports Complex, Eala outclassed Russian Elena Kareiva 6-1, 6-2, to ease into the round of 16. Eala relished playing on home soil under a WTA event despite the extra pressure that comes with it. "I think it's such a full-circle moment to see how far tennis has come in the Philippines," she said. "I think playing matches and seeing my two worlds collide, being in Manila and the WTA Tour, is so full circle and so emotional for me because it's allowed me to reflect on how far I've come, and it makes me proud. Pressure is part of my job, and a lot of people ask me how I handle it. Of course, there's added pressure playing at home. But it's nothing compared to the pressures that everyday Filipinos have to face providing for their families. It's nothing compared to what my parents have sacrificed to bring me here," she said. The 20-year-old Eala, ranked 49th in the world, hardly broke a sweat, but she did experience a scare in the second set. Trailing 2-1 in the second set, Eala needed a medical timeout. The break, however, seemed to have lit a fire under her as she closed out Kareiva with 5 consecutive games. Alex Eala and the sound of a nation beginning again. The first roar did not come from the racket. It came from the stands, low at first, then swelling, as if the air itself had remembered something important. By the time Alex Eala stepped onto the court at the Philippine Women's Open, the noise had found its rhythm. Flags fluttered. Phones lifted. A nation that had followed her across oceans finally saw her play at home, and that alone felt like a victory before a single ball was struck. For years, Alex Eala had been a name spoken in highlights and headlines from faraway places. Florida, Paris, Melbourne. Junior Grand Slam courts where the crowd pronounced her name carefully, sometimes awkwardly, but always with growing respect. She was the Filipina teenager who dared to dream in a sport that had rarely spoken her country's language. Now, under familiar skies, she carried something heavier than a racket: expectation, pride, and a quiet sense of return. And she looked ready. From the opening points, Eala played with the calm urgency of someone who knew exactly why she was there. Her footwork was sharp, economical, no wasted steps, no wasted moments. Each swing seemed guided by memory as much as muscle, years of early mornings, long flights, lonely training sessions, and belief repeated until it hardened into truth. The Philippine Women's Open was not just another tournament on the calendar. It was a mirror. Every forehand reflected a younger version of Alex hitting balls against a wall, pretending the echo was applause. Every backhand carried the weight of those who had watched tennis on screens and wondered if someone like them could belong on those courts. The crowd felt it. They leaned forward during rallies, gasped at winners, and exhaled together when points ended. This was not passive spectating, it was collective participation. When Eala chased down a difficult ball and turned defense into attack, the cheer that followed was part joy, part recognition. Filipinos know resilience when they see it. Her opponent, skilled, composed, unyielding, offered no charity. Points were earned the hard way, and Eala accepted that reality with maturity beyond her years. She did not rush. She did not panic. Between points, she adjusted her strings, bounced the ball, and reset. It was the posture of an athlete who understands that matches are not won in flashes alone, but in patience. What made the start rousing was not just that Eala played well. It was how she played. There was courage in her shot selection, especially when the moment invited caution. There was trust in her training when rallies stretched long. And there was a visible joy, brief smiles, clenched fists, eyes lifted toward the stands, that reminded everyone watching why sport matters in the first place. For the Philippines, tennis has often lived in the margins, overshadowed by courts that echo with bouncing basketballs and ringside bells. Yet here was Eala, center stage, rewriting assumptions with every point. She was not asking for permission to belong. She was asserting it. Her performance felt like a conversation between past and future. The past, defined by scarcity of opportunity and representation, stood quietly in the background. The future, however, was loud. It sounded like children chanting her name. It looked like young girls gripping rackets a little tighter, standing a little taller, imagining themselves in her place. When the match ended and Eala walked to the net, the applause lingered longer than usual. It was the kind of applause that says, "We see you." Not just the athlete, but the journey. Not just the result, but the meaning. In her post-match moments, Eala remained composed, gracious, and grounded. She spoke with humility, crediting preparation and support, but her eyes betrayed something deeper: satisfaction. Not the kind that comes from a single win, but the kind that comes from alignment, from knowing that where you are is exactly where you are meant to be. This was only the beginning of the tournament. More matches awaited, tougher tests lay ahead, and nothing in professional tennis is guaranteed. But for one afternoon, that hardly mattered. What mattered was that Eala had stepped onto a home court and played like herself, fearless, focused, and free. The Philippine Women's Open did not simply witness a strong start. It witnessed a homecoming in motion. And as the crowd slowly filed out, still buzzing, one thing was clear: this was not just Eala's story unfolding. It was the sound of a nation beginning to believe, again and louder than before.